Hey YouTube, what you know good? He is the Reverend, and we're back with some more of that fresh art goodness. So, what are we working on today? Well, today it's day 29 and illustration 29 for October 2020, where I did 31 illustrations in 31 days. All original characters, made by either me, friends, comrades, or fellow artists. This one is a creation of my own, in a way, because it was originally a CAC or create a character in the video game Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. The reason I made this was because my friend Jay was in the middle of playing that when I came over to spend some time, just hang out with him. We tend to do this during the weekends back when we lived in the same town. We'd hang out, get some dinner, and also brainstorm on ideas we're working on. Be it the webcomic we're working on, or just a random idea for something we could do later, or whether or not we should learn how to do to use that program Live 2D, whatever. The list goes on. But on this night, he was in the middle of playing Xenoverse 2. I think it was Xenoverse 2, and after taking a break, he decided to invite me to give it a shot. He knows I like fighting games, and this is kind of like a fighting game, so he figured I'd like it. This is where he learns, for better or for worse, how thoroughly into it I get when I'm creating characters. I spent a great deal of time in the creation suite. And not only did I spend a lot of time figuring out what kind of character I wanted to make, which, as you can probably see, is a member of the Frios race, whatever the hell we call these guys. But I also wanted to make sure that no matter what type of continuity this is, it's gotta fit. These characters are always arrogant, they're so full of themselves, and I decided, since there's voice acting in the game too, and Jay was actually watching me play this, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna get into character. Brace yourselves, because this is probably going to sound really cringy and stupid, but Jay and I found this hilarious, so we're going. And so began the glorious tale of Count D.W. Frios Hypothermius Glacius the third. But please, do not waste precious oxygen with your weak, primitive, inferior lungs. For the sake of all the life forms around you, including all those just as insignificant as you, please refer to him as Count Frozen. I know. No need to thank me for my unfathomable generosity. Yeah, just this is the idiotic inevitability of just how stupid I get when I get into character. I just couldn't stop. I could not stop with the voice acting while playing this. And I was just developing a personality and a character for Count Frozen here, and cracking Jay up the whole time. Just learning different moves that would fit, little catchphrases when he's beating people. And I think the big thing and this is the reason why I remember this, was Xenoverse 2. When Jay introduced me to this, I had no idea any of these characters, like the time patrols and all this. But for some reason, just thought it was hilarious. Once we're introduced to the character, the Supreme Kai of Time, I decided Count Frozen would be immediately enamored and would say it was inevitable. She was just destined to be my next queen. Oh yes. and every time she showed up and my character Frozen was there, he would constantly flirt and say some really weird things, usually involving how versatile his tail is. Jay cracked up every time. And it was a good And speaking of time, the timing to illustrate Frozen was perfect. During the time I was doing OC Tober, it was really just around that time. Supreme Kai of Time was officially a playable character in Xenoverse 2. And it was like when I found that out, I was like, yes, during OC Tober, I have to draw him. I have to draw him. It was too perfect. And the creation of Count Frozen, over just sometime after that, it really made me think about like what you can do with original characters like this, like when you make your OCs, etc. And I thought about sometime after creating him, the OCs that people make, and I thought of two particular YouTube channels while thinking about this. One was Plague of Gripes, because that guy has an appreciation for buff women. I can relate. And he would draw a couple of his own original female Saiyan characters, and may or may not take the credit for the idea of the creation of cauliflower and kale. I mean, I think he's just being sarcastic when he says that, but I think he did create a few of those and got popular. Those characters of his got popular before Super introduced those too. So maybe he feels like he may have inspired them. I think we've all done that. When you make a character for a franchise, and then a few years later, that company makes something that seems very similar to yours. Like, wait a minute, is someone spying on me? And the other channel was totally not Mark. And I really, really appreciate what they were doing over there. What he and his fellow artists were doing over there. Much like I was saying about the back in day 25, when I mentioned David Liu and his way of illustrating, bringing back that retro feel from like older, like 80s and 90s aesthetics. There have been a few videos on the channel Totally Not Mark where they took like screenshots of Dragon Ball Super and then redrew them to get that feel of what it would look like it was done in Dragon Ball Z aesthetic. And it reminded me of how badly I wanted to redraw Frozen, but then I also started thinking about what would Count Frozen be doing in that, like in an alternate universe. Like in Super, there's so many different universes. What could he be doing during there? And I also had this idea that in an alternate universe, there will be an alternate version of Saiyans, and I had this idea. A co-worker back in my previous job before I moved into a different state altogether, was hearing me out, and we were brainstorming some ideas of these Saiyans. And frankly, I really, really need to draw them. I have two particular Saiyans that I really want to try drawing, one male, one female, and I just think the idea it's just too cool in my head, at least, to not do it. So one of these days I need to really redraw Count Frozen, and I need to draw these two Saiyans that are part of a band of space pirates. I think I have a really cool idea here, but that's another topic for another time. Maybe one of these days I'll do it. Actually, no, it ain't gonna be maybe one of these days. As long as I still breathing, I will most certainly do it. I just don't know when. But we'll get there when we'll get there. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap things up for today. If you guys enjoy what I do here, don't be afraid to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you really want to support this little project, I do commissions, and I have a Patreon. Links below. Until next time, y'all take it easy, memento mori, and I will catch you all in the next one. Kill the feed.